Hello humans, Tony and Allison here with BlueLion, your favorite HR people, coming to you with another HR question tip of the week. What is our question today, Allison?
We got a good one.
Yeah.
Can you and should you allow romantic relationships in the workplace?
Yeah. Dicey question. Dicey thing no matter what.
It's getting hot in here.
It's part of the problem. So, to define, in case anyone's confused on the word romantic, it's clearly an intimate relationship between two people that is a little bit more than friendship, we'll say.
Yes.
Yeah. And the answer is yes. You definitely want to have a policy about this. So there's risks, right? Mm-hmm. So some of the risks are, we are in the workplace. What happens if something happens outside of the workplace? Everybody knows.
I don't like them no more.
I know, there's drama. So what happens if that happens? And then, we've worked with a lot of different industries, then all of a sudden you're dating somebody else in the workplace.
Yes.
It can get really rocky.
A lot of times it depends on the industry and what
Yes.
your policy should state. So yes, you should have a policy. What the policy should allow can differ between workplace, and it can be something that you can obviously make decisions on. You absolutely legally can say that you do not allow interrelations within your organization.
Yep.
Very difficult if you're in the restaurant industry.
Yes.
They, as Tony mentioned, tend to date a lot of each other.
Yes.
Also, statistically, 13% of people state that they have found their significant other at the workplace. So
we're there a lot.
We're there a lot.
Yeah.
You're at work a lot. You're obviously going to find bonding and relationships in the workplace, and you want your team to be close. The question is how close.
Right.
Very important. You should never allow a relationship between a supervisor and a subordinate. Never. It opens you up to a lot of risk. Harassment, discrimination, favoritism.
Yeah.
So you definitely always want to, regardless of your policy, you want to draw that fine line.
Yeah.
And really, you want to make sure your policy is something you're following. So if your policy states that you do not allow relationships in the workplace, what happens when one forms? So you can have a policy that says no, and then this is what should happen when one forms. Or your policy could say yes, and this is what happens when one forms.
Yeah.
So who needs to be notified that you're now in a relationship?
Yep.
What happens if it is a subordinate and a supervisor? Does one of them have to transfer? Does
Right.
one of them have to leave the organization?
Right.
We have seen policies written that way where the subordinate would need to seek employment elsewhere or be transferred to another department.
Yep.
So really just making sure you have a clearly defined policy is the most important, but absolutely have a policy either way. Either side that you're on the fence, doesn't matter. Just make sure you have it in writing and you're following it.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing to realize too is if you do allow them in a workplace, which a lot of people do, and as we said, as long as it's not that person overseeing them, it's also making sure your policy says whatever happens outside, don't bring it in here. So if there's issues happening outside of the workplace, and that can be romantic or otherwise, we've seen organizations where there are people who live together, that work together, that are roommates and friends, and then the friendship starts to dissolve and that starts coming into the workplace. Managing the performance is what you want to focus on. You don't care what happens outside, you care what happens inside, and treating those people the same way, regardless of gender, regardless of position. Everyone has to be held to the same standards of professionalism. So making sure your policy talks a little bit about that as well helps reduce your risk of, again, discrimination, favoritism, or harassment.
Yep. As always, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our channel so your friends can be as smart as you are.